I'm going to call the meeting to order. We are going to start with an invocation from Jonathan Miller, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by yours truly. Please stand.
Let's pray. Thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for everything you've done. Help us to love and honor you, Lord. We just come to you in prayer, asking for your protection around this meeting, Lord. Give the city council members wisdom with whatever decisions they have to make tonight, Lord. Just help whatever happens to honor and glorify you. And in your precious name I pray, amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the roll call, please.
Hambriz,
Here.
Button,
Here.
Kale,
Here.
Raymond,
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Report out from closed session.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Council, consider the first item under closed session related to real property negotiations. The council provided direction, but there was no reportable action as defined in the Brown Act. The council will reconvene after the open session to discuss public employee performance evaluation pursuant to the city manager's contract, which requires one within the first 90 days of his appointment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any subsequent need items?
Mayor, there are none.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as posted?
Motion to approve. The agenda is posted.
Second.
Motion by Button, second by Raymond. Kale,
Yes.
Hambriz,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Button,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We're having a presentation tonight, our monthly report from Merced County District 3 Supervisor Darren McDaniel. Darren, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good to see everybody here. I want to give you an update on the AME project. I know we did one a couple months ago, but I want to bring it up. MCAG has released the hotspot modeling through a process called interagency consultation. This is a formal process required by EPA to clear the air quality portion of the environmental phase. We've run the modeling through EPA. Everything's worked out. We just need input from everybody now. So the process involves sending the notice to our agency partners for their comments, and is handled by MCAG. So we're not through the woods yet, but we're right there. We're definitely seeing the edge of the forest at this point. Just want to update you. We had a meeting with TRC, Transportation Research Center. Now has 3 permanent tenant clients on site, which have facilitated more than $8 million in private investments into our facility. All of these investments have been handled by local construction contractors. And we also had a chance to tour one of the permanent tenants and learned they have already 56 full-time employees located at Castle. And this is a company out of the Bay Area. Just a normal unemployment update for Merced County. The rate is at 9.4% compared to 8.7% last month and 9% last year. This is lower than the long-term average of 12.79% for Merced County. This compares with an adjusted unemployment rate of 5.3% for California and 4.3% for the nation during the same time. I also want to remind everybody that the 4th Thursday of every month, I have my mobile district office hours located here in the chambers. I appreciate the city manager coming. We had a really nice visit during that time, along with other constituents. So I'll be advertising that more now that we're out of the summertime and we have a little more time. We don't have those days off, and we can proceed. With that, are there any other questions?
Apparently not.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you again. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If a council member requests separate discussion on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Okay, is there any public comment regarding the consent calendar? Seeing no one come forward, I'm closing public comment on that portion. Are there any items on the consent calendar that council would like to have removed for separate discussion and possible action? Seeing none, would any council member like to make a motion regarding the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Kale. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, so now we're on to reports and presentations from staff. Our first report is item 6, receiving and accepting the City of Atwater's annual financial report and single audit for fiscal year end of June 30th, 2023. Hannah?
Okay, and I just got word, our auditor just pulled up, so I'm gonna,
Talk slow.
yeah.
Okay.
But I just have a little bit to kick it off, and then Ahmed is en route as we speak into our building. You're here? Hi, Ahmed. Oh, good evening, Mayor and Council, staff, and Atwater community. This item is an annual routine item that comes before you each year. The annual financial report is issued by an independent certified public accounting firm to be in accordance with government code and state law. Then as staff, we bring the report forward to you each year in order to agendize and accept the report as an official item of record for the city. For fiscal year 22-23, the audit is now complete and the annual financial report has been issued by our contracted auditing firm, Badawi & Associates, certified public accountants. And we do have Mr. Ahmed Badawi with us this evening, and he will do a brief presentation. And prior to turning it over to Mr. Badawi, I have just a couple of items to mention. And I think he's going to touch on a couple of these, so I'll just keep it pretty brief. For the city, our total net position for fiscal year 23 ended at $109.6 million, which includes all governmental and enterprise activities. The general fund going into fiscal year 23 as our annual budget process, we anticipate ending fiscal year with an estimated $9.4 million positive fund balance. When we completed the annual financial report for fiscal year 23, we're ending with $15.6 million, and that's simply because our anticipated increases revenues for that fiscal year came in a little higher and expenses came in a little lower, so we came in a little bit better than what we thought. A more detailed analysis of the city's total net position and additional explanation of the financial statements can be located in the management discussion and analysis, which is the MD&A portion, which provides a useful narrative and overview of some of the highlights of the annual financial report. There were 2 findings on this audit that can be located in the independent auditor's report on internal control over compliance, along with the management response, which is the city's response to the findings. In addition, we discussed these with the Audit and Finance Committee meeting this evening. And while they're less severe than a material weakness, they're items that warrant consideration, and we want to address them and remedy them before they evolve into material weaknesses. And before turning it over to Mr. Badawi, I want to take a minute to recognize Ahmed on a couple of items. First, to thank him for his auditing team for working with the city team this year and as our professional auditing firm. And then second, I want to thank Ahmed for his generosity and the countless hours he has devoted to teaching public servants that come into the profession of municipal finance, specifically governmental accounting. Ahmed has dedicated many training hours to teaching governmental accounting to finance professionals through a statewide professional organization of finance officers, which in my unqualified personal and professional non-audit opinion truly represents dedication to the profession and helping us all become better at our craft and public service. So I want to thank you, Ahmed, for your service. So without further ado, Mr. Badawi will do a brief presentation for us.
Thank you. I'm wondering if I can control the slides.
I'll do it for him. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of. Sorry, I was planning. I was going to control this. That's why I had all these animations. But I guess I'll just signal to move the slide on. Good afternoon or good evening, and thank you for inviting me to your meeting. My name is Ahmed Badawi, and I was the audit partner on the City of Atwater audit. Today, I'm going to present to you the results of the 2023 audit. Obviously, as Anna mentioned, it's August 2024, and I'm presenting the fiscal year 2023 audit. So that's obviously later than what we would like, and that's one of the findings that we will be discussing later. But just to see on the agenda here, what I'm going to discuss with you today is I'll let you know who the engagement team was, what were the deliverables and the scope of our audit, areas we emphasized on during our audit process, provide you the type of opinion that we issued, also some of the required communications as your independent auditor, and see if you have any questions. We can move the slide to the engagement team. So this was the composition of our engagement team. I was the engagement partner. We always have a quality control reviewer, and this person is independent from the audit team. Their role is to review our work and make sure that we adhere to professional standards. We had also an IT specialist, and their role is to just evaluate the system, the city's IT infrastructure and general controls, just to make sure that the data is protected, access is controlled, and so on. We also had an audit senior and 2 professional staff assigned to the audit. We can slide to the deliverables. These were all of our deliverables. One more, I think. Here. So these were all the deliverables. We were mainly engaged to provide an opinion on the city's basic financial statements. So that's the document that includes all the city funds and the MD&A that Anna was referring to. So that's really our main engagement. The city is subject to what we call government auditing standards. They require us to issue a report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance. Also, the city is a recipient of federal funds, and we conduct an audit, a compliance audit over those federal funds. So we have also issued our opinion on compliance with those federal funds. We're also part of our responsibility is to provide communication to the City Council, and that's a letter that is normally addressed to the City Council, just documenting the scope of the audit and whether we had any disagreement with management. This communication is also what I'm doing today, so it meets the requirements for that communication. And then finally, we perform also agreed upon procedures on the GAN limit. That's the appropriation limit calculation that the city does. So we just review some of the factors used in the calculation and what was approved by council. We can move the slide to areas of primary audit risk. So we had 3 areas of primary audit risk, and those are very typical in most of our governments. The first one is management override of control. Don't mind, there is also additional so those are the main areas, risk areas that we identified. The first one is management override of control. And again, any audit have this risk as an audit risk, just because management is the one responsible for designing and implementing those controls. They are the one responsible for monitoring them, and they're oftentimes in a position to override them. So we design audit procedures to minimize that risk. We try to make sure that we assign more experienced people to more complex areas of the audit, to incorporate an element of unpredictability, to review journal entries prepared by management, to review management estimates, to make sure that they're free of bias, and a variety of other procedures that we perform. Also, revenues and receivables is an area of higher risk by default. We normally rely heavily on confirmations with third parties. So we confirm with the county, with the state, we confirm franchise taxes, we confirm basically any amount submitted to the city. We reconcile those to the city's accounting records and make sure that we understand what the variances are. We also perform a lot of analytics on consumption for enterprise activities for water and sewer. We perform a lot of
analytics on monthly billing, consumption, rates, and so on to make sure that revenues are fairly stable. And then finally, disbursement in general, whether those are disbursement to vendors or through payroll to employees. We perform tests of disbursement. We do what we call expenditure testing and also payroll testing, verifying the pay rates and hours and so on. So if we can move on to the next slide. So the type of auditor's report, we have issued our audit report, and it states the auditing standards that were issued, or that were followed, I'm sorry. We followed the generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. We have issued an unmodified opinion, and an unmodified opinion, it means that we believe the financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects, that all estimates are reasonable, all disclosures are properly reflected in the financial statements, and that all accounting policies have been consistently applied. We can move on the slide to some of the required communications. So this slide just summarizes our responsibilities as the independent audit firm versus management responsibility. So on the left side, responsibilities of the auditors is to issue an opinion on the financial statements, to evaluate internal control over financial reporting, including going at the top in the organization, making sure that they respond to audit findings, that they send the right message to the rest of the organization about the importance of control, consequences of committing fraud, so on. Evaluating the city's compliance with laws and regulations, ensuring that financial statements are clear and transparent, and then finally, we are responsible for communicating with the city council. Management have responsibilities in this process, so at the end of the day, management is ultimately responsible for the financial statements. Our audit provide reasonable but not absolute assurance about the accuracy of the numbers. Management is responsible for establishing and maintaining internal control over financial reporting, making financial records available to us during the audit process, establish controls that will prevent and detect fraud, inform us of any known and suspected fraud, comply with laws and regulations, and take corrective action on audit findings. As far as, I'm sorry, that's the same slide. So as far as independence, so obviously we are called the independent audit firm. It is solely our responsibility to maintain our independence. We evaluate our independence in a variety of ways. We make sure that we don't provide any services to the city that will impair our independence, in addition, obviously, to the audit service. We always evaluate relationships with city management and city personnel. So we circulate questionnaires to all of our firm employees, asking them to identify any relationships, direct or indirect, with city council, city personnel, and we make sure that we remove those individuals from the audit. Obviously, we have determined that we maintain our independence during this process. As far as timing of the audit, so that again is one of the comments that we had, is that the audit is late. We are obviously issuing the financial statements almost a year after the fiscal year was over. So I would get to that, but it was not within the time frame that we expected to complete the audit. We can move on to the next slide. As far as some significant audit adjustments, so we had some audit adjustments. Audit adjustments are usually the result of the audit detecting errors in the numbers provided by the city and then proposing an adjustment to correct those errors. The adjustments we had were not very significant, and I believe we had 3 of them or so it was not a large number of adjustments. So that's at least a reflection that the closing process was a good process that captured all the numbers. There was not a lot of errors in them. We're pleased to say that we had no disagreement with management. And as far as deficiencies in internal control, I think Anna mentioned earlier, we had 2 deficiencies in internal control. And we normally classify deficiencies as either material weakness, and that's the most severe, then a significant deficiency, which is what we're reporting today. And then the least severe is what we call a control deficiency. And that's not required to be communicated to the governing body. That's normally just a housekeeping item that is communicated to management. So the 2 comments we have are classified as significant deficiencies. So they're not the most severe, but they're definitely significant enough to be brought to your attention. The first one is financial closing and audit preparedness. I think, as you're probably aware, the city have experienced turnover in some key positions in finance, and that has contributed to delays in the audit preparedness and just going through the audit process. The typical time frame would be within 6 months from the end of the fiscal year. Most of our cities, they issue their financial statements before or on December 31st for that fiscal year. So this is where we would like, obviously, to see the city. We started already our 2024 audit, and so far we are seeing progress. We have few pending items from the initial phase of the audit, so we're definitely looking forward to a more timely audit in 2024. There were also another observation regarding capital assets, and this is just really relating to the schedules that the city put together to summarize the capital assets and the fact that they didn't tie to the financial statements. And it's a matter of a classification, so something that the financial statements is calling infrastructure, the city's accounting records may call it buildings. So the total numbers are not changing, but just the classifications between the categories need adjustments. Finally, I am not gonna bother you too much with the new accounting standards. I know Anna attended one of our training seminars, and we went through in detail all those new accounting standards, but this is just a summary of the new standards that the city would have to implement for the next 3 years. And I think other than that, that concludes my presentation. So again, thank you for inviting me, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for your presentation. Does the council have any questions? No, I don't see anybody commenting. City manager does have a comment.
My only comment is that I'm really happy that we have Anna here as our finance director helping us with this, and we're working on these deficiencies, and these are things that we will be able to overcome easily.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here tonight in person. Appreciate that. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing no one come forward, I'm going to close public comment. Would any city council member like to make a motion?
Motion to receive and accept the City of Antwater's annual finance report and single audit for the fiscal year end of June 30, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Ambrose, second by Kale. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, so we're now moving on to public hearings. Item number 7, resolution adopting an initial study and mitigative negative declaration in accordance with CEQA for the project, and approve a tentative parcel map, general plan amendment, variance and site plan, and adoption of an ordinance approving zone change number 23-19-0100 to change the zoning designation from residential estates, RE, to high-density residential, R3, for the property located on the northwest corner of Sunset Drive and Everett Street in Atwater, APN 056-540-004. And Deputy City Manager, Community Development Director Thompson will be giving the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council for your consideration of these items this evening. Before you tonight is an item that specifically calls out different actions that the developer would need to take to successfully move this project forward through both the entitlement process, the design process, and the construction process. It is directly connected and linked to a previous item by the council that the city manager had given you at the last council meeting. Thank you, by the way, Chris, for covering for me. So in that particular council meeting, what you approved by action was a rezone of the property. So this tonight, what we'll be doing is waiving the second reading, and then the rest of it, that with the appeal period for 30 days would run with the rest of the projects appeal. So tonight, again, by the numbers, you'll be asked to adopt and certify an environmental document, which is the initial study and mitigated negative declaration, which fully analyzed all the contemplated actions, both previous and tonight. Second thing would be a general plan amendment, which would make then the property consistent between the general plan and the zoning text within the municipal code. It would approve a tentative parcel map, which would allow the developer to phase not only the construction, but the construction financing, which we see is very commonplace in projects today. It would also approve the architecture and the site plan. Now, the way the municipal code works for the city of Atwater is we have some, let's say, just sake of argument, 36 conditions that have to be fulfilled in the application process for a tentative parcel map. We also allow a developer to use a site plan to fulfill all of those conditions of the tentative map. So just important to remember that we have a tentative map approval tonight, and a tentative map, the statute on it runs, the state gives us guidance on how long those entitlements last. They're typically 24 months. Normally, as cited in the municipal code, a site plan might last for 6 months, but because the site plan is tied to the tentative map, the duration of the site plan would be for 24 months or to run concurrent with the tentative map. The property and the project is located off of Sunset Avenue, which was the subject of a previous annexation to the city. We know that there was an institutional use to the west of this long block of property at the end of that school that was annexed at the same time for the same reason. And this portion of the property has been left unused and undeveloped for many, many years. So in conjunction with the developer's desire to develop and construct on this property, a multifamily, I just wanted to also point out to the council that this property was identified by Rincon, our consultant that we're working on in the multi-jurisdictional housing element, as possibly upzoning it. So we want to thank the developer for their cooperation with regards to this development, because they have voluntarily complied with the city's desire to upzone that property. We've looked at it from several different angles. Chris and I had met with the development team recently. They had some concerns over conditions. I just want to make sure, and I'll let the city manager kind of chime in too, about making sure that you understand that the conditions that are attached to this property have been well thought out. They have been vetted by staff several times and have been developed in conjunction with the development team on this. So we're very happy to present this project to you and seek, our recommendation is to seek approval for these things. I do believe the development team is here in the audience tonight, would like to introduce themselves, as well as if the city manager has any comments.
Thank you. The only thing I would add to this is that all the changes that are proposed are in the packet, and if you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
And as I stated, the development team is here, and I think they would like to introduce themselves. That's you.
I might have to wait for you to usher me up here. Adam Reed, I'm part of the development team. I'm on the design side of it, here representing the property owner. We do appreciate staff's willingness to, in the last couple weeks, to work with us on the conditions, because we did have concerns on them. And we've been working on this for a long time, for almost a year now, and we're looking forward to moving forward and getting this project built. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I'm going to ask council right now. Do you have, council have any questions for either city staff or the applicant? I guess not. All right, thank you. Okay, is there any public comment on this item?
Mayor, I have speaker cards.
Okay.
Pardon me. The first speaker card I have is for Laura Andrews.
And I have opened the public hearing.
Good evening. I also have a copy of my written correspondence. Is that okay if I give it to the city council? All right, good evening. My name is Laura Andrews, and I am the Assistant Superintendent for the Merced County Office of Education. I oversee the Educational Services Department. And I'd like to read a letter from the MCOE very briefly to address to you, the Atwater City Council. So the Merced County Office of Education, MCOE, which operates several school programs at 1800 Matthews Drive in Atwater, California, has recently been made aware of the City of Atwater's plan to rezone a parcel of land from low density to high density located south of our school property. The site is identified in the previous agenda items 9 and 10 as a property located on the northwest corner of Sunset Drive in Everett Street, Atwater, APN 056-540-004. Originally, our school site was built to provide education to students referred to us from school districts or from the probation department and was named Atwater Valley Community School. The site now houses 4 school programs, including special education classes for students with moderate to severe disabilities, students on independent study with individual education plans, Merced Scholars Charter School, and Comeback Charter School. The combined enrollment of all of the programs ranges from 400 to 800 depending upon the time of year. At first glance, the MCOE opposes this change in construction of a 2-story, 25-unit apartment complex. We are concerned about several issues, including traffic congestion and safety, as well as the potential impact on our students, who are a unique population requiring specialized educational services. If the assumption is that proximity to our school makes this location suitable for residential development, it is crucial to understand the specialty nature of our school's mission. The programs we run are not full-day regular programs that serve children from a typical residential area like an apartment complex. Our students often require a different educational approach, and the introduction of a high-density residential complex could disrupt our mission and the environment we work hard to maintain. Additionally, we have concerns about the proposed parking area for the apartment complex. The parking lot on our school premises is not open to the public and cannot accommodate overflow parking from a residential development. We need clarity on what the proposed parking solution looks like and assurance that it will not interfere with our school operations. MCOE was not notified of the plan change and therefore was unable to provide input to the Planning Commission meeting on July 17th, 2024. This lack of communication, especially when school was not in session, is concerning. Per Resolution PC 0238-23, it appears that no one spoke in favor of the project, nor did anyone speak in opposition or submit written comments at the meeting. The MCOE respectfully requests time to study the CEQA report and provide input to the City Council members of the City of Atwater prior to a decision being made to proceed. Thank you.
Oh, very good. That was well timed. Who's next, Janelle?
We have Crystal Souza.
As good as Ms. Sanders. So hello, my name is Crystal Souza, and I'm the principal of the Atwater Education Center, which is located at 1800 Matthews Drive in Atwater, right behind the parcel of land which we are talking about this evening. We have multiple programs ranging from TK all the way through adults that come onto our campus. We're no longer just Atwater Valley. We serve over 400 students in a hybrid educational environment. We average about 200 students that come through each day, and the parking and the driveway, which the proposed driveway would be shared with this development, is very busy throughout the day. We have also 5 runs of vans and buses that come through each day. We have students that wait out in front of the school for their parents at various times of the day, and it would be literally steps from this new development. The proposed development would share a driveway with our school on both Matthews Drive. Our parents also utilize Everett Drive to get to Matthews Drive. The apartment buildings would be literal steps from our campus, raising safety concerns. Also proposing 38 parking spaces for 25 units. I think that everyone knows that that's probably not going to be able to be enough parking units for 25 units. Most people have 2 cars per residence. This raises concerns of overflow. As Ms. Andrews said, our parking spots will not be allowed to be used. We do have residential neighbors across the street and in gated housing across the way, but they do not share our driveway, which is of huge concern. So I just wanted to finish by letting you all know that I have gotten several communications from parents, especially of the littles, that are really concerned about this development. And we really would, as Ms. Andrews said, like time to work with you all to come up with a solution to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Elaine Post.
Thank you. Good evening. My name's Elaine Post, and I'm a teacher at Atwater Education Center. I actually teach at Merced Scholars Charter School. I too want to address the proposed 25-unit apartment complex. As stated earlier, our campus is rather unique and serves a very wide variety of students. Our campus caters, my campus, Merced Scholars, we cater to students that are TK, which are pre-kindergarten, all the way through seniors in high school. Unlike a traditional campus, this school offers a variety of educational opportunities and schedules. Some students meet with their educational teachers only once a week. Others meet with a variety of teachers 1 or more days per week. Some individuals and others have large classroom environments, so they can come to school 1, 2, 3, or even 5 days a week at different times during the day, dependent upon the classes that they are attending. So it's a constant rotation of vehicles in, vehicles out, kids in, kids out. Students arrive on our campus throughout the day, again, dependent upon their schedules. They're in buses, their parents bring them, they're in vans. We've got vans that pick up. Some of them drive, some of them walk, some of them are on bicycles. Simply put, at any given time, traffic is all over the place. And our parking lots are full because of staff. We have a very full staff. In fact, we need more room because we're growing. Unlike a traditional campus, it's not just breakfast, or it's not just coming to school, it's not going home, it's not lunch. Pointed out earlier, there are 5 programs. We've got independent study students that are coming and going. Our comeback charter are adults who are getting their diplomas, not their GEDs, but diplomas. They're in school on and off throughout the day in a different section of our campus. Our special ed kids, they leave in the morning, they go do their work program, they come back at different times during the day, and then they leave in the final afternoon. So again, a lot of traffic. I guess my main concern, safety. Potential for children to interact with unfamiliar residents raises safety issues, particularly regarding supervision and security. Increased traffic. More residents can lead to higher traffic volumes, increasing the risks of accidents for children who may not be fully aware of traffic laws or able to judge vehicle speed. Visibility issues. The presence of parked cars and increased congestion can make it harder for drivers to see children, especially our littles, increasing the risk for pedestrian accidents. Distractions. Children may be more distracted by the activity around an apartment complex, making them less attentive to traffic and safety rules. Security challenges. The presence of more people can complicate school security efforts, requiring enhanced measures to control access and ensure safety. The overpass on Applegate is already congested during the week. Any of you that drive that area know that. I actually am taking back roads to get to school on time. What is the impact going to be of the new traffic coming in? What about the noise and disruption to our classes during the construction period? Thank you.
Elaine. Any others?
That's the last speaker card that I had.
Okay, so we've gone through the speaker cards. So if anybody else from the public would like to speak, podium is yours for 3 minutes or less.
Good evening, Council. Jason Tucker, a resident on Sunset Drive. So I'm here to speak in opposition to the resolution adopting today. And I I'm also representing some of the residents that live in the area. I took it upon myself to just go around the neighborhood, speak to some residents. And I have a petition that I wanted to submit to the council tonight, so I want to hand a copy of that over to you so you can have that. The residents that I went to, I'm understanding there's about 7 residents that are immediately adjacent to the proposed development. They're within the 100 feet of the development. All 7 of them are opposed to this. And then I went another 100 feet for the other 7 residents. So I've got 14 residents there in that area that I think there was only 1 or 2 that said they've got any notification in the mail. I understand the MCOE did not get notified of this project, and most of the residents there feel like they either got it or they didn't. Most of them said they didn't. So for those reasons as well, I think the project needs to be put on hold to further evaluate the development, because the issues that I brought to you last council meeting were mainly on the public safety. As a resident there, I've got public safety issues. I don't want to drive down Sunset and see an accident right there with any of the new residents that are living there. I don't want to see additional cars in the traffic. I mentioned that before to you. In my looking through your proposal here, I do not see any crosswalks. I do not see any sidewalks. I do not see any way for these new residents to make it to the shopping center at Target. Again, that's a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit on Applegate, and so these new residents have no access to make it into the city other than to walk down Applegate. They're landlocked by the school and by the 14 residents that do not want the apartment there. And so I think there's a lot of objection to this that needs to be taken under further consideration. And, you know, one of the residents I went to, he told me, he said, you know, Jason, it's a done deal. Don't even go and speak. And it was interesting. I was at Save Mart last night, and they give out these little things that you can open up, see if you're a winner. And I kind of thought, like, I probably have a better chance of winning on this Save Mart ticket than to get this development from not going through. But, you know, I thought that was fun to think about, because actually, in all seriousness, I mean, this is affecting the residents that are your neighbors. These are the county residents that are across the street. There's no Atwater City residents to talk to there. They're all county residents that are adjacent to there. And I would hope that the city would want to be good neighbors and listen to the residents. You know, one more comment. One of the neighbors there is immediately adjacent to the development. There's a lot of large boulders.
You have to make it very brief.
And
We had you 3 minutes.
I told him I would mention this, and I'll end with this. He's upset because all those boulders are pushing up against his fence. He had to rebuild his fence there. He said he's tried to talk to the city about it. So I think you need to do a little bit of damage control in the neighborhood over there. Speak to some of the
Okay.
residents. Speak to the MC.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Your time's expired.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And then we
And
can
just
work together on it. Thank you.
sit down so I don't have to use the gavel. I don't like doing that.
No, that was my closing
Yeah,
comment.
I know, but you exceeded your time. That's got to be fair to everybody here. Some people would say I'd be a jerk to everybody, and that may be true. Okay, anybody else wishing to speak on this?
Linda Dash, Atwater. I live in the city limits, but I've read a little bit about this, and I was just curious if a traffic study was done on this development, and is Atwater prepared to provide the necessary services, fire, police, water, sewer, garbage? Are we going to have enough water? And also there's agricultural traffic that I think travels around there. So also just think about the kids, okay? Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? This gentleman in the back here. Well, you don't have to say your name and address, but it's always appreciated when we know who we're talking to.
Okay, my name is Aaron Schmidt. I live at 7213.
Can you stand a little closer to the microphone?
My name is Aaron Schmidt. I reside at 7213 Sunset. I have not come to wow you with elegant words. I'm probably not all that well spoken. But these studies that are being done and have been done are not accurately reflecting the problems that are being caused, of which we are all concerned: air, water, services that the city and the county provide. We only have a certain amount of resources, and well, to think that by adding to the problem, we will make it better, that would be a fallacy. Thought is, let us rather go as the wise rather than unwise. Okay?
Thank you. Anybody else?
Adam Reed with the development team again. I'm a resident of Atwater too, and this was originally a zone residential estate, like everybody knows, and we're asking for it to be zoned to a higher density. And part of the reason we're doing this, like Greg had talked about, was the state's arena numbers. Our allocation of it, the city needs to make some ground on providing housing. So this was kind of a good project for the city to be able to accomplish that as an infill project that doesn't have a whole lot of red tape and long processing times. So that it's a good project for that. But as far as the traffic concerns go, the traffic analysis was done, service analysis was done, municipal services were done, all part of the environmental review. It's all included in the packet. It's a long pretty thick analysis. So I don't know if everybody made it through it or not, but it is included in it. And the basics of it is the average daily trips that this project's going to generate is 168 trips. And for the 25 units, that's 6.72, I think, trips per day per unit. So it's relatively low for a project. Because of the small nature of it. But the threshold set by MCAG is 500 trips per day. So this comes in well below their threshold that the council adopted. So we shouldn't, we're going to see a little bit more in traffic, but that's normal with a project like this. As far as it being around kids and stuff, there's really not much we can do to eliminate that. I think that might be more on the school to keep the kids on the site. As far, I've been out there. There's not a lot of them walking, but I'm pretty sure the developer would be more than happy to talk to the school district and work with them on that, if that is a concern. But apartments, multifamily developments are common near schools, so it's not out of the ordinary for something like this to be near a school. So, okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have any comments?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and city staff. My name is Robert Delina. I'm part of the development team, but I'm just speaking on behalf of myself today. I felt that normally I wasn't planning on actually speaking on the project, but somehow we had some folks here speaking against. I wanted to at least throw in my 2 cents as a citizen of the area, as well as somebody who was formerly on a planning commission for 8 years and got to see a number of these issues go before people. It was interesting, some of the comments we heard tonight. MCOE in particular raised concerns, but never actually made a statement of fact about what it was they were concerned. Just said that there were impacts to students. We had the principal from the school come forward and say that these are specialty students and that the apartments are steps away, raising a safety concern, without saying what the safety concern was. This is a new one on me. I've seen neighbors and folks that maybe didn't like a project, didn't like the way it was designed, or the fact that when things get built near you, there's more traffic as a result. This is an interesting, different beast. I've never seen sort of I don't know what to call it, institutional NIMBYism, maybe? But this is a new one on me to see that. Now, there was a traffic study done, and I'm not going to wax on and on about this, but residential has among the lowest impacts. Typically, people leave for their job, they come home, they might go on a shopping trip. you compare that with commercial office, doctor's office, any of the surrounding retail natures, the traffic impacts are significantly higher. So this would be probably the lowest traffic impact project that we built here, being residential. As Director Thompson brought up, this site is potentially going to be cited as an upzone for your arena numbers, in which case, if I'm not mistaken, another developer could come in at some point, seeing as how there's been no occupants on this land, and propose a project under SB 35 and build almost anything they want, and the city will have no say because there's no ministerial process allowed in an SB 35 project. They could almost build a skyscraper with no parking. There are some limitations to this. I'm just being a little hyperbolic here. I'm just saying that I think the project fits for the use. I don't think any of the points that brought up here were specific enough because there probably isn't an actual valid concern. Other than that, the studies were all done, publicly noticed. Everybody had their opportunity to comment, playing by the rules, and hoping that.
Okay, thanks for your comments. Anybody else want to speak on this item? Okay, seeing nobody come forward, I'm going to close the public hearing. Okay, does council have any questions for staff? I have a few.
First of all, I've never seen a bureaucratic institution like this try to control a private project. It's asinine. But my question, Mr. Thompson, do other schools in town have housing or apartments near them?
Yes.
Have there been major concerns that you've heard?
Not relative to the housing projects. Some housing residents have brought up concerns over the construction of a school, but not the other way around.
Okay. Do you have a moment, if you can remember what the people from MCOA were saying? Can you address some of their comments?
I'll try. I mean, maybe I can do it in kind of a more overarching way.
Well, before you do that, let's see if there's what other questions we have.
Okay.
Well, you finished. Do you have a question? Okay, so going on with MCOV, so these are the things I was curious about. Need some clarity on the parking.
Okay.
And about access into the apartments versus the school. I mean, I think it's coming off a public right away. And also about no notice given. If you could explain the process of noticing, that'd be helpful. And I think that's it.
Okay, so just to begin with, and kind of dovetailing off of one of the developers' comment on state guidance and legislation, the state of California through HCD and other agencies makes huge concessions for multifamily projects. One of them is parking. Another are areas within CEQA itself that alleviate the developer's responsibility to promote a housing crisis that exists within the state of California right now. This particular developer chose not to seek relief from the parking requirements, which is reflected by their design. Another area of this project that where traffic would have been analyzed, because that goes right to the heart of one of your questions, is through both the CEQA analysis under VMT and the city's own municipal code and general plan relative to levels of service. Realistically, because of the size and the nature of this project, it probably could have been adopted both at the Planning Commission and the Council under an expanded categorical exemption, under a Class 32 exemption, which is an infill exemption. The project meets most all of the criteria, including the zone change and the general plan amendment. We as staff, because of the concerns over traffic and the site and the other concerns of the surrounding area and how well the project would integrate into the surrounding area, we elected to do an initial study, and the development team agreed on that. Okay, so it did provide adequate analysis, one of which was brought up by one of the development team on the thresholds on the frequency of traffic and what those thresholds were, and as they were adopted by both Merced County Association of Governments and by the City of Atwater by council action. So traffic, parking, consideration of the project, and the other item that you had mentioned is both on Everett, the other side, and all of the streets that circumnavigate around the project area, those are not private driveways. Those are public streets that are owned and maintained by the city of Atwater. So I understand the concerns of the audience. I very much understand that, to the level we went extraordinary lengths to analyze the project to make sure what we were getting was going to be a good one. I don't know if that answers all of your questions or not.
Yeah, you answer is mine.
Okay with that.
And I do feel for the homeowners out there. I mean, I really do. I get it. But as far as the MCOE, I mean, that's a whole different story.
Tyler, did you have a question?
I think you just addressed it right at the end, which was on the driveway. I just had a question about that, and I think you just touched on it there, on if we were sharing, it's going to be sharing a driveway.
That's a public street. It's not
Okay.
necessarily
Okay.
a driveway.
John, Danny?
You know, one of the things that if this project goes through that I would like to see, that was brought up to me in Shamrock, no less, was that the speed limit out there needs to be evaluated so that possibly slow down since we're coming out of Sunset going down Applegate. And I would suggest that we take a look at that to decrease the speed in that. I appreciate what MCOE is talking about. I appreciate you guys have vetted this position very well. I would hate to see us lose those properties because we need those. We need that housing out there. And we also need the housing over there behind Taco Bell too, but we know that's been going on for a long time. So I'm kind of, I understand the fight, I just don't know what we're gonna do, yeah. Sorry, thinking out loud again.
So I have concerns of the project here. So Councilman Kell brought up the last apartment that we approved, and one of the big selling points for that was the walkability to all the local markets. Doesn't seem like we're going to have that with this one. That the future residents are going to be driving everywhere, because for one, there's really no sidewalks out there. Traffic is moving pretty fast, so I doubt people are going to ride their bicycles out there. So that raises concerns. Unlike some of my other colleagues up here, you know, I do have a special needs child, and they don't attend that school, but I can see potential incidents going through. Child just slips out of someone's hand, runs out in the street there with increased traffic. I don't know. It just doesn't spell anything good right now. And Mayor, did you get an answer about who is supposed to actually reach out to like MCOE or stuff?
No, I did have that here written down. I was going to ask for clarification on that. So Greg, what's the process for giving notice to the area?
For public hearing purposes on land use projects, both at the Planning Commission and at the council, the mailers are sent out. Notice is given in the newspaper. It's given on our website. It's posted in a public place, and mailers are sent out prior to the Planning Commission hearings, 250 feet, surrounding a circumference around the project site. So literally here, there has been 3 opportunities for notice.
So it seems that the school would be within 250 feet. So,
Yes.
so did they get a notice or?
I can't confirm that they received it or even read it. All I can tell you is who we mailed it to.
Okay. Any other council comments?
Yeah, I think all the concerns are very valid as well. I think, you know, I mean, there's, hopefully, if it were to go through, there's going to be a good relationship with school and business, you know, traffic control, you know, like we have in our other 10 public elementary schools in regards to, you know, volunteers or folks that work for the school district controlling traffic. I know I teach at a school. When school's getting out, there's literally a stream of cars outside of our school. I mean, it's bumper to bumper traffic. But we have people out there, you know, controlling traffic, making sure kids are okay when they're crossing a street. And they do a great job. That's going to have to be, you know, paramount. And obviously we're not making those decisions for the school district, or, you know, that's not something that we decide. But I would hope that that same good relationship that AESD has with, you know, a lot of neighborhoods would continue in the same fashion. So.
Okay, thank you for that. More questions? Okay. Would any council member like to make a motion regarding this item?
Motion to approve staff's recommendation.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Button. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
No.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so at this time, we're going to move on to our next public hearing. You're more than welcome to stay for that, but if you don't want to, that's fine too. Now would be the time to go out. Okay, so item number 8. All right, so item 8, resolution adopting an initial study and mitigated negative declaration in accordance with CEQA and selecting alignment alternative 3 as a preferred alignment for the Bellevue Road Reconstruction Realignment Project. Director Thompson, you can please present your staff report and any recommendations.
Thank you.
I'm opening the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, for your consideration of this item this evening. Before you tonight is an action that would adopt an initial study and mitigated negative declaration for the analysis of a new project which has been referred to as the Bellevue Corridor Realignment Project. What we're asking for tonight is both resolution that makes that finding of consideration and adoption of the environmental document and a preferred route for the chosen route of construction. If you'll remember, council has previously authorized moving forward with Measure V regional monies for a PSR&E, which is Project Study Report Equivalent, to analyze a project for realignment of the Bellevue Corridor to avoid the operations of Dole International, which was a project that was approved by conditional use permit in the county of Merced back in 95-96. It forced the closure of Bellevue Road, and this would open that traffic connector from the highway back into the city of Atwater, the north alignment. One of the project goals has always been to decrease or depressurize Applegate Road, and the two ways we can do that is by previous council action on the synchronization of most of Winton Way and by opening North Atwater back up to the highway again. So this is a very critical path. It's a priority project of the council. It's a priority project of the county of Merced. This has been through a cooperative joint application effort through MCAG, through the county of Merced and the city of Atwater for program funding. The council also, by previous actions, has approved expenditures to cover the environmental documents. So we thank you very much for that, which has allowed us to move forward in our programming for PA and PE, which roughly put is basically the design portion of this particular project. So we're very excited about the progress we've made. We've had some initial communication with the landowners on this, and from that, one of the evaluated alternatives, which is alternative number 3, has kind of rose to the top as the preferred alternative, which would have the best chance of success within some of the time parameters that have been indicated by the council. So we're very happy about the proposed project. Janelle, were you giving any information as far as the alignments?
No, I was not.
So from previous suggested materials, I apologize to the council about not having those displayed. They were a portion of your packet this evening and packet that's available online to the public. The initial alternatives were alternative one was to try to maintain the same alignment that the previous Bellevue had through that corridor, which would have resulted in a disruption to the Dole facility, relocation of buildings, infrastructure facility, and substantially expensive utility relocation. Option 2 was a sweeping alternative that would have added linear feet and disruption to the Dole farming operation to the south, and a third alternative, which is a compromise between alternative 1 and alternative 2. This places it nearer to the Dole facility, but free and clear of infrastructure and utility that's already pre-existing on the site. So again, we're very happy about this preferred alignment. We were happy with the results that we got from the evaluation or the analysis under CEQA. We've been working very closely with the consultants, and we share consultants on this project and the general plan update, so they have a very distinct understanding of our surrounding area and weren't making these evaluations in a vacuum. Very happy to answer any questions you might have about the proposed project, the proposed alignment, or the environmental document.
Thank you for your report. Any council questions? Mr. Raymond?
I don't have any questions as much as a statement. Supervisor McDaniel and I have been working on this for 10 years at least. Gone through two different county supervisors, 2 different organizations that bought Dole. But you guys got it here, and I'm so happy and so proud of you guys. It's a great time, great day, and when we get across the finish line, we'll have more economic viability on the north side and hopefully decreased congestion at Applegate. So it's a great first couple steps. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to add in my thank you too. Been working on this project for a number of years. It hasn't been 10 times. For me, it's only been 6. But it is good to see it, actual plans coming to an end. It's awesome.
Well, it's kind of redundant at this point. Everybody's got positive things to say. Yeah, just really good job. And Greg, as always, thank you for always explaining those acronyms very, clearly. And
We got you.
Yeah.
Same here. Yeah, it's a bad thing about being the last one to speak. Everything's already been said. But yeah, thank you to the county and your staff for doing that. And also to Dole, too, for stepping up finally and being part of that. Greg, my question always is, and I'm not holding you to this, but when does construction actually start? When they get the backhoe out there and start digging?
We have quite a bit to do before shovels are in the ground. One of the first things that we have to do is the design work that we are programmed for, and the council was, thankfully, we were able to get a funding agreement adopted and through MCAG. So next steps is probably a more apt question or response than when does construction start. Once this preferred alignment is approved by resolution and once the environmental document is approved, we will seek we'll do an RFP for design services, and we'll come back to council for the approval of a contract for the design on this, which we're very excited about.
Deputy City Manager, I think that was a gotcha question because the mayor knows that it's more bureaucracy.
We've been able to shave years and money off that bureaucracy. I feel pretty confident in our efforts.
I know you're doing yeoman's work on it, so I do appreciate that. Okay, is there any public comment on this item? I did not read that I was opening the public hearing. You know, it's highlighted in yellow for me. I still can't see it.
So is the public hearing open?
It's open now.
Hi, Darren McDaniel.
Yeah,
Live here in the city of Atwater. Also, you're representing supervisor for the county. This is a good project. The whole time, I remember Brian campaigning on this when he ran for council, and he's about to term out. The wheels of government move so slow, but it's nice to see this come to fruition. The mayor probably remembers one of your colleagues, Deidre Kelsey, also a colleague of mine. Deidre Kelsey was really pushing for this at one time, and she was more fighting with Dole instead of working with Dole, I think. But, and then also the supervisor who represents that area has been on board and very supportive of it. The way we see it, it's gonna make a beautiful entrance into the city of Atwater. It's gonna give a whole new look, bring us into North, and also alleviate a lot of the congestion. A lot of our traffic studies show that. So what everybody's concerned about in the previous project, this project actually helps out with that, and hopefully we can move forward with it. And it's nice to have Dole on board now, because they were fighting this. The county's actually gonna give up some stuff as well to help put this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Anybody else? Okay, seeing nobody else come forward, I'm going to close the public hearing. Who would like to make the motion? I think
Make a motion that we accept staff recommendation as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Kale, second by Raymond. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Moving forward. Okay, now we're on to item 9, which is an update from the Office of the City Manager.
A little more brief than last time, but we're making some progress on our camping code enforcement. We've done some cleanups, and we've met with the district attorney as well as the sheriff's office. So the next step is we'll have an RFP going out for the hazmat cleanup services that we'll have on call. And once we have that in place, then we'll be ready for pretty much anything. So thank you to our police chief and everyone involved, Public Works, and everyone that's been helping with this. And we'll have more to come.
Okay, comments from the public.
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however, is not required. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and/or placed on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Under the Brown Act, members of the public must address the city council as the legislative body of the city, not other members of the public or staff. I am now opening public comment. Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor, I do not have any speaker cards.
Okay, thank you. If there are any members of the public who would like to speak, please come to the podium now.
Good evening, Linda Dash. Why? Why on earth have you folks torn up Fruitland? And I went to visit a friend the other day, and I saw just how you ravaged Fruitland Avenue, and now you want to put 3 roundabouts there? You guys must be on drugs. I can't believe it. I mean, you don't have enough room for 3 roundabouts. How's one of those big, huge fire trucks going to go if he has a big structure fire? 1 roundabout, 2 roundabout, 3 roundabouts. And I was looking, and I know it's not quite great. I hate this. So as I was looking at this, the engineering species or whatever, these roundabouts, I thought, well, who's doing it? I noticed that we've paid since the 1st of January, $854,462 to your consulting engineers, VBH. Now, $854,000, guys, and I thought we had engineers on staff. And I'm kind of wondering, as a taxpayer, I'm not up here just to cause a bunch of trouble. Because you know, every time I see the dollar signs and I think it's going the wrong direction, I'm going to come up here. Now, this is not the end of the year, so we've got about 4 more months left. They're going to make $1 million off of you folks. Why don't you get some good qualified engineers in-house to do some of this stuff? I know you used to work for him, Greg. You used to work for him while you were working for him here. But anyhow, that's okay. It's water under the bridge. $854,000, and my group, we're checking into a little bit more what's going on. But, you know, they've ruined Fruitland, and nothing's going on. I was reading something about the whole big deal is so that way the cars won't have to emit all the fumes. This was Atwater High School. Well, the Fruitland between Schaefer and Winton Way is not Atwater High School. It's on the other side of the canal. So I just can't understand why you've really you've raped Fruitland Avenue. It's terrible. And I think you ought to be ashamed of yourselves, and I'm sorry, God, John, I love you, but I'm sorry you wanted this project. Maybe the project would be great over in front of the high school, because you're correct. There's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of kids running back and forth. There's a lot of cars sitting there idling, emitting fumes, but not, you know, where it's all residential, and it was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
The one thing that I want to talk about here in the capital improvements, I noticed in here, 2024-25 for Station 41, bathroom flooring. Are you ready for this? $150 grand, $150,000. We'll talk more about that at the Oversight Committee meeting next month. I hope people can see that. And what Linda was talking about here as far as the capital improvement project, I have one of the staff reports right here, and it says, we are placing some of the current traffic control measures with traffic calming circles. Oh, I love that one. To promote continuous flow of traffic through the current congested area in front of the high school. That is the dumbest thing I've ever read. Anybody that lives down there, I live down there. I live on the west end of Fruitland over on Village Woods, and I come up there every day. There is no traffic circle ever designed that is going to calm traffic down there. People are coming there, dropping their kid at curbside every single day. If you're going east on Fruitland, you've got people that want to turn left against the traffic going into the parking lot. How is a traffic circle supposed to fix that? Nothing on a traffic circle is going to work on that street except to go and clog it up even more, and this nonsense about how its new traffic circles will cut emissions from idling vehicles. How stupid is that? I don't know who draws up these things, but that one right there is a real knee slapper, and any way that we can stop this, it needs to be done, because this is an extraordinary waste of taxpayer money.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else have any comments?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and City Manager and staff. Rich Miller, 334 Silva Drive, pastor of Victory Baptist here in Atwater, 1280 Sierra Vista Street. I cannot believe it is the end of summer, and I apologize for being absent for the last several meetings, but I do want to invite you all out as we're going to be honoring our firefighters, and I have turned in some cards to Ms. Janelle over there on Sunday, September 8th. And we will be giving out our hometown hero to Engineer Julio Maldonado this year, as he's the firefighter of the year for 2024, And we're going to have a barbecue that's open to the public, as well as a ceremony to give him the plaque, the hometown hero plaque. Then on Wednesday, September 11th, I want to make sure that everybody knows there will be a 9/11 service at 8:30 in front of the community center. and would like to encourage everyone to make it out for that as well. And then before we know it, I know it's hard to believe that this will be happening, but Christmas will be around the corner. My daughter's already playing Christmas music. I used to forbid that until after Thanksgiving, but girls, they have a way with their dad, right? And they know how to get to his heart. And so I let her play Christmas music, and I'm excited about what's going to be happening this year, as we'll be having our 4th annual Christmas in Atwater event at the Bloss House. So just want to invite everybody out for this, starting off September 8th at our church, Victory Baptist.
Thank you, Pastor. Anybody else? Seeing nobody else come forward, I'm closing public comment. And now we're moving on to city council reports or updates. We'll start with Mr. Kale. Work to the left tonight.
You always start with me.
Do I? Well,
Sure.
Tyler hasn't been here, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Let's do
I
it.
know, it's number 1 on the list, so I really I want to add to Pastor Miller's, there's going to be a fall festival put on by Old Town Atwater in conjunction with a car show at Ralston Park, and then the car show will go all the way down 3rd Street and then turn the corner on Broadway. And that is September 21st, so it should be a great event. And really appreciate Old Town Atwater for doing that. And then, honestly, I really don't have a whole lot else to say other than I'm really getting tired of this election year. The crap that is on TV and the crap that is on every place is just disparaging. So this is my suggestion to everybody. Look at your heart. Figure out what you want to do. I truly hate the two-party system, and that's why I'm independent. I hate it because, you know what? One party says, we got to do this. And 10 years later, they're saying, we got to do this. And it was the same thing that the other party said 10 years earlier. It's just a mess. So I just pray that you take a look at your heart, but whatever you do, please go out and vote. Doesn't need to go out and vote. So, okay, that's it.
Okay, Danny.
First off, I want to thank all the residents. I haven't received any emails or texts about any accidents since school started, so thank you guys for paying attention to the little ones that are out there. I have more of an ask from staff. There's a tree on Cedar Avenue between 5th and 6th that you guys can't miss, kind of making the sidewalk raise up a little bit. You can just look into that and see what we can do. Other than that, everyone have a good night and see you guys next time.
Brian?
I have to give a hat tip to Linda Dash here. She reminded me earlier that today marks the 3-year anniversary of the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, which killed 13 service members. It's known as the Abbey Gate 13. So just keep their families and thank them for their service. Their families and their loss. Keep them in your memories. Thank you.
Tyler?
Really quick, Castle Air Museum is, I'm not going to be able to go. I usually try to go. There's a fundraiser golf tournament September 13th. It's a really fun time. They do a really good job. If you want to, put some money towards Castle Air Museum and play some golf. Really quick, I just wanted to say, Linda especially, never apologize for coming up here and being critical of anything that we're doing up here. Everyone up here is very capable of handling any kind of criticism. To me, a healthy community is a community that's critical, that asks questions, especially when dollar amounts get up there. So, don't ever, Linda's, she doesn't, I know she's, but I appreciate it. And, sometimes it's, it doesn't always, but to me, I just get creeped out whenever everybody just looks around and just agrees on every single thing. So we should always be listening to some criticism, so never apologize for that. And then last thing I just wanted to say, just thoughts and prayers for Mike Richter, who we just honored just a little while ago. We honored him for 30 years of service for clerk of the course for Atwater Elementary School District, and he's done that for a long time, and he's now a principal at Golden Valley, and his family and what they're going through right now, and very sudden passing of his son, and just want to thoughts and prayers for him, and that's all I got.
Yeah, could I ask one more favor? And I had
Yes.
it written down for
Yes, you may.
last. I would like to get either next meeting or the following meeting a report from I believe it's a Chelsea group that was supposed to put all the apartment complex in behind the bowling alley. I would really like to see get a report from them to find out what is holding up all of that. And this the conversation tonight basically threw my memory on that. So we need to get them out here and explain why we approved that 2 years ago, Greg? Over 2 years ago? And we had the same arguments from the people on Redwood for that we heard tonight. So yes, please. Sorry.
No, that's good. And it also adds on, find out what's going on behind Taco Bell with the 3-story building that's supposed to be put up several years ago as well. All I want to say is I don't appreciate gaslighting. I just want everybody to know there's no traffic circle going on the Atwater High School end of Fruitland. They're only on the east end. So with that, meeting's adjourned.